let's kick it off with a tell me something good. Luis, what do you got, my friend?
I just got a new buyer into contract last night, and they're actually a buyer from like my first year when I got into real estate. And
Wow.
they backed out at the time because of COVID, so I've just been staying in touch with them for like 4 years.
4 years, but you got him back in contract.
Yep.
Well done. Give him a round of applause, everybody. We're just gonna go down this road right here. Crystal, what do you have?
Canopies over this week, Rose Nest for this week, and I'm opening another one this week, so.
Closing open, keep that going. Love it. All right, what do you got?
Yeah, I gotta tell me something good for somebody else. I have a listing in Loomis that I need to have held open this weekend. So if anyone's looking for an open house, come see me.
All right.
We're not gonna.
Does anybody want to do an open house? We'll just solve it right now. Anybody want an open house in Lumens? Lovely Lumens. Online? What's the best way for them to get a hold of you if they live locally in there, but they're online right now?
You can call me direct, 916-765-9927.
916-765-9927. Perfect. All right. And then who else we got? Adrian.
Yeah, had one fall out and then jump back in with the offer. We wrote an offer last night.
There you go. Putting in the work. Love it, man. All right. Who? Yeah, give him a round of applause. Yeah. Can you share yours? Because you're putting in the effort. We have a special guest who's gonna appreciate hearing this.
Okay, gotcha. Thanks in part to the book that I was gifted a few weeks ago. Did some door knocking last week, and more door knocking scheduled for tomorrow. And so building the database, meeting lots of people, which is exactly what I need to do right now.
Love it. Here we go. Rapid fire. Nice hot time to get started.
Yes,
Yes.
exactly.
So by the way, if you guys would like a copy of the book by Stephen Ross, he's gonna be speaking later today. There are copies up here. I've read the book. My favorite part, it's filled with tons of stuff, but my favorite part was probably the last chapter. Titled Get Going. So highly recommend the book, guys. Speaking of people who are in the room, we also have Heather B with Chicago Title. Who went to the Tom Ferry event yesterday? Raise your hand for Tom. Wasn't that phenomenal? Okay, let's do some quick takeaways from that. What were some takeaways, things that you're going to implement in your business that you picked up yesterday at the Tom Ferry event? So Clark, what'd you get?
I think for me, just one of the reminders, and I remember this from when I first got involved in real estate, and that is, there's a saying Tommy Hopkins used to say, and that is, I must do the most productive thing at every given moment. Tom Ferry was talking about filling those gaps. You know, when you have a gap in between appointments, really, you know, what's the most important thing you could do?
Yeah.
Call a client, call an agent.
So just be more productive.
Yeah, be more productive. It was very good. It was very well laid out, and we have all that stuff within EXP too.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was just fun to hear him present. I think he's one of the best presenters.
Yeah, he is.
in the industry. Adrian, what'd you get out of it?
Time management, gotta do a lot of videos and get in front of more people.
Yeah.
It's huge.
Yeah, he's been screaming about videos for about as long as I've been in the industry. And he's like, if you're not doing videos, then just get out of the industry. He's like, well, don't get out of the industry, but start doing videos. Yeah. Who else has something they want to share?
Yeah, one more
Tom.
takeaway, okay. Number one is just show up, okay? You know, that's what he said, just show up. We all got there, we all got up in the morning, we got here, just show up. And the job is halfway done. And then number two, we're not real estate in the real estate business, we're in the marketing business. We've got to be the best marketers. It's not always the best agent that gets the business, it's the best marketer. So
Absolutely. Steve?
Perfect segue is what I want to share. Tomorrow at 10 a.m. we have a standing KV core training, starting to pick up some steam. We're teaching you guys how to build squeeze pages. We're teaching you how to post on Facebook. We're teaching you how to set up the groups that you need to target. And tomorrow we're going to talk about blogging. So please, if you got to really understand how to market, embrace the KV core. And we got a brand new 4,500 square foot listing in Rockland. $1 million flat. It also, someone else pulled it open, goes active today. Gorgeous big house.
Where's it at?
It's right on Argonaut, 3440 Argonaut.
Street. All right. And then
10 a.m.
something else Tom was talking about is just working your farm, being effective with your open houses. He did that pretty hard yesterday. And so on the table, there are some resources with Heather. They have a great app where you can walk and Heather, you mind just sharing really briefly about the app? I'm not
Yeah,
sure about
so
this.
this is linked with one of our farming tools that's exclusive to Chicago Title. And so you have all of that on your phone. So you can either pull, if, let's say you're doing an open house, you want to pull a farm prior to going to the open house and door knock, you can do that. You can also do it on the spot by just drawing a map around the home that you want to door knock. So I'm happy to set up a one-on-one to show you how to do it, but you can definitely download the app and start playing around with it. It's really great to have on your phone. You know, if you're walking up to an owner, a renter, and my only thing I always say, if you're gonna door knock, be safe, make sure you go with someone if you can, make sure that someone knows where you are. Never go into a house, set up a future appointment. So, yes, let me know.
Safety moment brought to you
Yes.
by Heather. Yeah.
Sorry. Mom, that's all.
There you go. Love it. All right. And then we do have an upcoming event, not only this Friday, but we also have next Thursday. We will not be in here. We'll be at PCAR during our monthly event. And we're flying in Phil Stringer. If you have not registered already, you can go to ai2024.eventbrite.com, scan the QR code. Highly recommend you guys attend this. This is, if you want to be more efficient with your day, if you want to do more videos, he's going to teach you exactly how to do that, how to save time and money in the process. Okay, and this event is free. And then with that, let's have our lender update. JJ, where you at? Come on up, JJ. Come up, team.
All right, so let's dive a little bit into interest rates. I'm sure you guys are all curious what's going on these last couple days. By the way, I'm JJ with American Pacific Mortgage, branch manager and loan officer there. If you don't know me, so let's see what happened here. So because over the last 3 days, interest rates have actually gone down by 80 basis points. That means that if you have $1 million loan at 7%, that would have cost you $8,000 to buy that rate just 3 days ago, now costs $0. So you're saving a ton of money just by waiting 3 days to lock the rate. So why did that happen? What happened yesterday and over the last couple of days that made that happen? Well, the Fed met, and when the Fed met, they talked about inflation and unemployment. And those factors are huge with interest rates. So when you're talking to your clients, I'm sure you're all getting that wonderful question. What do you think is going to happen? Do you think that interest rates are going to come down? When do you think I should buy? And so here's the answer to that question. You don't know. But here's some things the Fed said that actually give you some ideas of what could happen. So in that CPI number, which is the core inflation rate, which basically just gives you the inflation rate for just what we use, right? Our gas, the things we buy at grocery stores, all of our clothing, rent, these kinds of things. Car insurance is up like 40%, if you guys haven't noticed. It's like the biggest thing right now. But these are what is involved in this report. Right now, they thought that was going to go up by 0.1%. It actually stayed even. It didn't go up, it didn't go down, but because they thought it was going to go up and it didn't do anything, overall, we retook the number from last year. So that and it was higher last year. So that made that inflation rate come down. So now we're at a lower inflation rate than we were just a couple days ago, meaning it's a good thing. A bond market likes that, and interest rates fell because of it. They also, yeah, it's cool. Now, other thing is they came up with this thing called the dot plot. You guys know what a dot plot is? Yeah. Okay. So the dot, yeah, the window says yeah. The dot plot is basically what happens, what the Feds decide. That every single Fed member gets a vote. Do you think that interest rates are going to come down, or do you think that interest rates are going to go up? And how many cuts are we going to have? Well, I'll read you what they said here. The dot plot showed that 4 members thought there'd be 0 cuts this year. 7 members thought there'd be 1 cut, and 8 members thought there'd be 2 cuts. The median of that was 1 cut. So I know we all thought there'd be 4 or 5 cuts this year, but we're hoping that we at least get 1. And so I truly do believe we'll see that. The reason I think that is because unemployment rate is now going up. And so we're at 4% right now. The magic number you all need to be looking for is 4.2%. So if you just type in ChatGPT, what is the unemployment rate right now? You'll see what it'll pull in what that is. So just keep watching out for that 4.2%. As soon as it gets there, that's when I believe we'll see rates coming down. All right, let me share a quick story with you, and then I'll get off the stage. So this last week, I was sitting in my office, getting some stuff done, and I got a call from a real estate agent that had called me a couple months ago saying, hey, I want to let you know, I've been working with you for like 10 years now, and I want to continue to use you, but my brother-in-law just got his NMLS license, and he's gonna be a loan officer. And I don't think I can use you anymore. I just feel like I have to give him a shot. No problem. I totally understand it. Go ahead and use the guy. I don't want to, cause any disruption in the family. So he goes and uses that guy, right? Brand new to the industry. This particular land, I won't tell you who he went to, but it was a broker. And this particular spot didn't really have any training. He just went there and he's trying to learn this all by himself. So over that time, he sent this guy a couple deals and they started going sideways. They didn't work out. Things were getting bad. The worst part about it is this particular real estate agent just had bought a boat, and this boat cost a ton of money. And so he needed some money to pay for this boat. He borrowed money from a friend to pay for this boat. And so the guy calls me and says, I'm in a bad spot. I need money and I'm doing a HELOC and I've been working on it for 2 months and it still isn't closed. I said, well, tell me what's going on. Why isn't it closing? Can you tell me a little bit about the transaction? Tells me about the transaction. I said, oh, all you need to do, I said, send me your P&L, send me your tax returns. I said, all you need to do is, you see right here on your P&L, it shows that you're actually counting money away from your income when you should be counting it for your income. You just need to change that one thing and you qualify. He changes that one thing, he sends it back in, he goes and gets his loan done. The importance of having a lender that knows what they're doing in the industry is paramount, not just for you getting the loans done, but for your clients and getting their homes and getting their HELOCs and everything they need to do. So make sure that you're, have experience in the industry, not only experience, but someone that cares and wants to make sure that you're doing the same thing. So now I work back with that real estate agent, and that lender is now coming to work for me. And so, the boat, he got the money, paid off the boat, he's good to go, he's done full select. Yeah, exactly, right? I'm waiting for that invite. All right, so any questions or anything I can do with rates or programs or anything at all?
What's on the Dream for All program?
I know,
I have
right?
3 buyers.
I know you do. So I've actually put in a request to CalHAPA because I've got the name of the gal that runs it. So I left her a message a couple of days ago because they said it was supposed to come out the beginning of June.
Yeah.
And we still haven't heard anything. So
End of June.
yeah, so we're almost in the middle of June and here we are. So I was really hopeful that we were going to hear something this week. They still have not released that data yet. So I'm very hopeful that we'll still hear something this week. They did say, I just went to a conference over in Nashville and their preferred lender, CalHAPA's preferred lender, actually works for APM and he was there with me. And I asked them, I said, how many pre-approvals do you have in the CalHAPA system? He said over 1,000, just one guy, one loan officer. And I said, and when talking to CalHAPA, how many of those people do you think will actually get selected?
I mean, there's only 2,000 in the entire California. So.
He does most of them. So he said about 10%. So obviously he doesn't know 100% what it is, but I just wanted to, give that to you guys and make sure you're telling your clients, hey, there's a good chance you might not get selected, but maybe you can still qualify for a different program. Let's get you qualified for the regular CalHAPA loan, or maybe there's other platinum programs that we might be able to qualify for down payment assistance. Don't let them get discouraged if it doesn't show up on their name. Make sure you're having that conversation. Great question, Manu.
Another question after you, JJ, is I'm hearing a lot about other lenders offering 0% conventional loan. And you and I were looking at it and it doesn't look like it's like a bit snake oily. You mind explaining how that program works?
Yeah, so there was it's UWM, they came out with this thing, they just had their big conference and they came out with this preferred program that they have. So here's the deal about that. CalHAPA has a really good program that you can get that will allow you to get down payment. Now that down payment assistance, when you go to refinance that loan, you can resubordinate it. So if you're taking this 7% interest rate today, actually a little bit lower now, we're back in the 6s. Yeah. So, but because you're taking this 6.7, 6.8% rate, if your rates do drop down to 5 or 4 or whatever they drop to, you can refinance that CalHAPA loan. You can get that lower rate and you can have your customer be more comfortable. In the future now, with this new program that UWM offers, what they're saying is you cannot refinance until you pay it off. So what would happen if you sent your client out there to buy a home and you put zero down and they gave you this money, it's a loan, you still owe it, and you want to refinance? You can't because you don't have the equity to refinance it. And so now you're stuck. You're stuck at this 6.8% rate or the 7% rate to people until you can pay off this 3 or 5% loan that you got. So that's the reason why I would rather just stick with a Cal HAPA loan. APM was working on coming up with a program that was similar to the UWM one, but it just didn't make sense for the clients. We like the Cal HAPA loan better. We feel like it's better for the clients, and it's not going to get you in trouble a year or two down the line.
Questions for JJ on that program? All right, man. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
9 o'clock,
thank you,
JJ.
guys.
So JJ's here on Thursdays, but Jake is here every single day, Monday through Friday. So if you see Jake walking around the halls, you know, shaking hands, trying to introduce himself, because he's our preferred lender. He's over there in one of the offices. All right. So our next speaker, this is by popular demand, actually. I didn't know NHCs were such a exciting thing, but I've had at least half a dozen people ask for a class on,
Dare you?
I'm sorry, fire hardening and defensible space. And so people want to learn about that. So to teach us about it, we have Miss Lisa Massey. And by the way, she brought food. So give her a round of applause.
Good morning, everyone. So we're just going to go over like a brief presentation on really what to focus on when you're working in high fire severity zones. And if you want to go into like a really deep dive and you actually want to go through the form with me, because it'll be a little bit challenging to see it, especially if you're further away on that FHDS form, I'm happy to go through that with you and show you what boxes to check. Show of hands, how many of you are working in high fire severity zones in this office? Okay, have any of you had any like, sticking points where you're like, I don't know how to fill this out and your sellers are freaking out? A little bit? Okay. Well, with SNAP NHG, we are number 2 on your RPA dropdown. We are backed by CAR, so we're fully compliant, meaning that we are AB 38 compliant. So back in 2019 is when this all started to come about. And basically, if your home is in a high fire or very high fire severity zone, it is going to trigger the AB 38 in the report. Ours is on page 2. It's bold. It's got the big house. It says is in red. So you'll be able to see throughout our report, it's going to say is or not in several different areas. So that way you're not wondering, at the front, like looking through 40 pages, right? So we like to make it very easy. I've got some slides that we'll go through, but for time, we'll focus on the main things. Let's go to the next one. Keep going. Got this beautiful home here. Like I said, it's passed in October 2019. You can just keep it a little bit. And acted in July 2021. And basically, it's for the seller to disclose to the buyer if it is in a high fire severity zone. Okay. And then disclose to buyers that they know that the parcel meets defensible space. So the home hardening, you can click to the next one too. Thank you, Jose. There's 2 areas of it. Hardening, which is if it requires the TDS, it's 1 to 4 units, residential. It's in very high fire severity zone. And the home was built prior to January 1st, 2010. Why that matters is from January 1st, 2010 to current, all of the building codes are current. So that home is home hardened. So for example, I had a real estate agent reach out to me just yesterday and said, can you call my seller? She's freaking out. She's in Shingle Springs. Just last year, when she bought the home in 2015, last year she's looking at it, she's not in high fire. Well, we all know April 1st, all of the new CAL FIRE maps came out, right? So now all of a sudden she's selling her home. It's actually with an EXP agent in Folsom. And she said, now I'm in this high fire severity zone. She is in the SRA, which is the state responsibility area. Okay. I mean, if you look at it, she's boom right there because now the maps have changed, right? So you're going to see that at a high level on the SRA, you're going to see it in the LRA, which is the local responsibility areas. Okay. That is the home hardening. If they meet those criteria, you have to fill out the home hardening disclosure. You're just going to have your seller click yes They are aware that it is in that high fire severity zone. And then they're gonna check, and also the home hardening is roof, eaves, siding, windows, mulch, openings, and deck. That is what they're looking for and the actual structure, okay? You can go ahead and click to the next one. Keep going. So it's obviously improvement to that structure. That's the home hardening part of it, okay? Now, defensible space, this is where you're looking at the different zones. Zone 0, which is 0 to 5 feet, which I am actually learning in Shingle Springs from speaking with the seller yesterday. Just having flower boxes on the house are now gonna have to have like a barrier, like think of concrete. It's anything that's combustible, right? That can cause that fire to really reach that home, right? Then you've got that zone 2 or 1 and 2, which is that 30 to 100 feet. So think of anything that's like shrubs, trees, leaves, things that are in the gutter, pines, pine needles, right? Those are things that are combustible that can cause the fire to really reach that home, right? So that is what the defensible space is. So think of everything that's vegetation, right? Where the home hardening is the structure. So 2 different parts of the transaction, right? So if for some reason, like for example, this home yesterday, I'm speaking with the seller, she's built in 2015. She does not have to do the defensible space because her home is already considered home hardened, right? But she is in a high fire severity zone at the state level, which is CAL FIRE. So in that sense, she's going to have to, and you've been clicking, Jose, thank you. She is going to have the defensible space inspection. Her thing is that you can keep going too, thank you. She says, Lisa, I don't want to have an inspection because once I have an inspection and they come out, then my neighbors are going to know about it. It's going to be a whole thing. And she's like, I don't want to do it. So I said, you don't have to. So this is the big sticking point, you guys, is that a lot of agents are thinking that they have to have this FHTS and they fill that out and then they're like, they have to have that inspection done before close of escrow, right? Isn't that what you guys are hearing? It's not. You can actually pass that responsibility off to the buyer. Now, the buyer will have 1 year post-close of escrow in order to complete that inspection. But the seller is letting them know, yes, it is in high fire severity zone. Is it compliant? Is it not compliant? If the seller has an inspection that has been done in the 6 months before escrow, before closing, they can provide that to the agent and to the buyer, and that is sufficient. But if they, and that's why you want to guide your sellers. Do not fill this form out for them because you don't know if they've had an inspection, right? So you want to just ask them these qualifying questions so that you're guiding them to fill it out, okay? So we, in our report, we've added what we call a decision tree. So you're going to see, and I would go on the website, but we don't have time for that. So we can do it one-on-one or we could do a team training if you want. But we've added, you'll see the AB 38 page 2, boom, it'll take you to the decision tree. What the decision tree does is, you can click to the next one. And next one. Going. So this is what the FHTS is looking for. You guys can see the TDS, the very high fire severity zone, built January 1st, 2010. Defensible space, TDS, 1 to 4 units, very high fire severity zone. Keep going. These are where you're going to start to see section 2, which is where it's the home hardening, right? Then there's section 3 of the form. We've added the decision tree to basically help guide you and the seller. So it will spell it out. It's like a cheat sheet for you guys that we added. And then right behind that, you guys will actually see a copy of the FHTS form in our report. Okay, so it's like boom, boom, boom. They're consecutive right behind each other. So why we put that decision tree in there is just to help guide you guys because it can be confusing how they rolled this whole thing out, right? So you also could print it out and show it to your sellers. You could sit down with them, right? And then go ahead and click to 2. Now, again, you're going to say, yes, this home, as far as they know, is home hardened, or you're check the box that says no. Now, this is the important part. This is where it gets tricky, okay? So like, for instance, yesterday, the seller was going to, so basically she is in the high fire, but her home is home hardened, right? but she still has to have the defensible space inspection. So what that seller is going to do, because remember, she did not want to have that inspection done herself. I had her click 3A, the box you see where it says is, you can't see it, sorry. We could show you in person another time. And then you would skip, go to the next one. And this is where we see it gets a little bit tricky with everyone. See how you have the options? It's 3C, you've got 1 through 6 different choices. I'm going to tell you the most common checked is going to be 2, buyer responsibility, local vegetation management ordinance in effect, which requires compliance as a result of the sale of the property. Local ordinance allows seller or buyer to obtain documentation compliance. Buyer shall comply with the requirements of the ordinance after close of escrow, okay? Then you're gonna have the seller click 6, seller responsibility. If they wanna do it, then they can do it. They're gonna say, we will obtain state compliance. Seller shall obtain documentation of compliance and deliver to buyer prior to close of escrow. So those are the 2 options that are the most commonly. Either the seller, which is 6, is gonna complete it, which we don't see that very often. I have been seeing that most sellers are putting the responsibility off to the buyer. Would you guys agree with that? Okay, so then they would check 2. Now, the only 2 areas that you have to, no matter what, is Truckee and Paradise. You cannot close escrow in those 2 areas without an inspection. That's in the whole state of California. So, as you guys know, things are constantly changing, right? So we want to stay up on it, and rest assured, I will do that for you and bring things as they change. We do also have a local vegetation. As far as I know, we are the only NHD company that actually provides the local vegetation. It's in every single NHD report of ours. And what that means is it's the municipality codes, so that you know if you need to have a defensible space or done at the local level, okay? So do you guys have any questions? That's probably a lot in a short amount of time.
Make sure you. Why don't you do that a couple times?
Yes, I know. So 916-549-1226. That's 916-549-1226. So call me, text me. If you guys have properties you're driving around and you want to know, like you don't want to be in severity zones, you don't want to be in high or special flood zones, text me. I've had several of you do that even recently. Text me the addresses. I'll give you quick in or out determinations for you. And please, if you guys don't feel comfortable explaining this form to your seller, I'm happy to walk them through it. Again, I will be guiding them, and then I will always circle back with the client along with you, so that way there's a great communication going on, okay? So
When can they order if you have a list? When's the soonest you can order that?
you can, as soon as you know, even if it's weeks out that you guys want to get this NHD ordered, if you don't close, you don't pay with Snap NHD, so get it ordered. There's no, I mean, there's no loss in it, but what can happen, and what we've seen it plenty of times, especially with insurance companies, is that if an agent waits too long, they don't get that inspection done, or they, you know, the buyer comes in and they realize they have to have insurance, right? Those fees are very high right now. You've got the fair plan, which is not fair, right? It's super expensive, so it can really kill a deal. So always order at the time of listing, or even if it's right before, and we can cancel it if we have to. Yes.
Do you have a map that has highlighted high severity flood zone and fire zones?
Yeah, I can send that to, maybe I should send it to you.
Yeah.
Or do you have like a group email or
Jose will make sure everybody's copied.
Jose? Yes, so we'll send you those areas, because right now California really was in like, I want to say it was at 36%. Now we're at 48% of the state of California in fire severity zones. And we will probably only see that getting higher, unfortunately, so. Yeah.
One other thing I'll add is that something we've started doing on our listings, as soon as we get the listing, we are ordering the NHD through Snap. We are also reaching out to an insurance broker to make sure that that home can get insurance. What we're using is either the agent or the homeowner for them to pull the report. It's not 100% accurate, because Maybe the buyer has some issues on their clue report. Maybe there's some claims against them. That's gonna affect their insurability and their cost. Especially in the high fire zone areas. So,
Yeah,
Was-
get good friends with your insurance. broker
yeah,
for
I mean,
sure.
they're hard to find right now. My insurance, yeah, anyways. We won't go down that
Yeah.
rabbit hole. But was this great, guys? Want to give at least a round of applause, please? All right, so we're doing a different format today. Backed by popular demand is Stephen Ross, okay? But here's where it's different. Last time he was rushed. He's like, Johnny, man, and everybody was like, Johnny, I wish you could have spoken longer. I said, right, no, but we had something happening at 11 o'clock. So what's happening today is he's gonna present, he's gonna get through about half his material. We're gonna do a bio break. Lisa was kind enough to bring snacks. You can check your emails, check your texts, and then we're gonna keep the Zoom on for those of you who are on. We're gonna stay for an additional 30 minutes. So you can hear his whole presentation and ask him the fun questions. Sound good?
Yes.
All right, well, please welcome to the front of the room, Mr. Stephen Ross.
Oh, good morning.
I got 5 of his books last time, you guys, great material. Great
Thank you,
material.
Steve. Thank you.
Learn it.
Super kind of you. Who was not here last time? Let me just see who's not here. Oh, Jim, you were here last time.
Forgot.
Raise your hand again. Who's not here? All right, so I'm not repeating myself, so y'all missed out. No, just kidding. I am not repeating myself, but the thing that, those of you that don't know me, I'm the worst type of person to be a realtor. Like the worst. I'm introverted, don't work nights or weekends, can't find me online. I don't do parties or events. Probably a little antisocial. And yet, right, this is my 20th year of selling real estate, and I built my business knocking on doors. So I've knocked on over 125,000 doors as a realtor. And just as a quick, just before I get going, is anyone curious other than me? There's no way JJ's been doing loans for 10 years, right? I mean, that means he would have started when he was like 13. Am I the only one that was thinking that? And was that your boat, Tom? Is that okay?
My second one.
Your second boat, sorry, okay. So I'm gonna do a little something different today, and I want to talk about, this is a house I sold 3 years ago in Denver. I sold it for $1,725,000. I'm only telling you that number for a specific reason, because when I sat with the sellers at the closing table, it was my client, Andy. He was the oldest of 4 brothers. It was his dad's house. And I knew his dad because I used to knock on the door. And when I sold the house, we went and closed at escrow at the title company. And he sat at the title, he sat at the desk, sorry, you won't be able to see me online. He signed the documents. The closer came in, took the documents away. So the document's not in front of him, and he sat there. Sat down and he put his hands up like this and he says, you know, I have no idea what I just paid you. I know I just signed the closing documents. It's like, I know it was a lot of money. And you were worth every single penny. Which is great, right? Now, a little math here, 6% listing, $1,725,000, that's over $100,000. I don't know that I'm worth $100,000, but I didn't get $100,000, right? Because it was split, right? I get 3.2 in Colorado, in Denver, historically, what you've seen is, you know, the buyer co-op was 2.8, right? So 3.2 for me, 2.8 for that the buyer's agent got. So I got paid, you know, $55,000-ish. Now I think I was worth every penny of the $55,000. However, the point going forward is that's not going to happen really much anymore, right? The seller is going to pay us, and hopefully they still say you're worth every penny. But now the buyers are going to hire us, and we hope the same thing, right? That we think we're worth every penny. And so today, what I'm really talking about is, yes, you got to do the activity that gets you into relationship with people, but how do you actually be somebody worth your fee? How do you be somebody worth hiring? Because, you know, marketing, I heard what, you know, other people have said about marketing and video, blah, 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 blah. In the end, if you're selling an expensive house, are you worth $50,000 or $60,000, $40,000? And that's really what I'm gonna talk about today, because that's the essence going forward is, are you gonna be worth somebody that amount of money? Because if you aren't, what's gonna happen? There's a lot of things gonna happen. What's the first thing that'll happen? People will what? Reduce their fees. And pretty soon, right, this is a hard business to keep cutting your fees, because pretty soon you can't really live on that. So, not to be the doomsayer, but I did this last time, like I really did create relationships at the door. I really did knock on doors and these people took selfies with me, not because I paid them, right? But because I created some sort of relationship with them that they felt comfortable and safe, taking a picture with me, and it cemented my connection with them. I took these and then did I share the story, how this came about? I didn't share the story, right? Because I was going pretty quick. Okay, good. So about 10 years, 10, 11, I lost track of time. I was about to knock on my 100,000th door. And I thought, that's pretty good. I mean, right? That's a lot of doors. I was like, good job, Stephen. So 99,936, 42, whatever it was, stayed before it's going to hit 100. And I go out and I was like, all right, next day, I'm going to do it. But that night, I got a voice. This is absolutely what happened. I get a voicemail from some guy. Now I knocked on his door. He didn't answer. I just left, my flyer there. And so I get a voice message from him that night. And it says, hey, this is so-and-so at this address. And I know you were by my house today. You left this flyer. And then he went on for 2 minutes. I don't like that you're leaving. I don't like that you're knocking. I think it's a terrible idea. Just on and on and on. And at the very end, he said, and I talked to everybody else on the block, and they don't want you coming around here either. I was like, whoa, right? Like knife in the heart. And then he did a couple more times to make sure I was dead, right? I just spent 12, 11, whatever of my life doing one thing. And this guy says, you are not welcome. And I was upset, to say the least, for like at least an hour. I mean, it was like, 8, 9 at night, and I was distraught. And I'm just like, fuck that guy. Because I remembered all the people that loved me that I had created a relationship with. And so I started taking the selfies. And then what I would do is, there's an app in your phone. Sorry, Lisa, I'm just borrow this for a second. There's not an app on Lisa's phone. There's not an app on Lisa's phone, but I had this app called Postagram. And so I would take the picture and then I would upload the picture in Postagram and then I would mail it to them, right? It does it, right? It prints it out and mails it. So they get a postcard of us together, right? Cementing our relationship. And, it wasn't a trick. It just was this cool thing that came about but it started with a total breakdown, right? A total whoa, right? And it turned into this amazing thing that happened because I started taking these selfies and I started cementing these relationships. So that's what I really mean about creating a business based on trusted relationships. And what I talked about last time, we did talk about this, right? Right, we talked about if you have a database of 200 people, 20 transactions, if your average sales 500, probably not charging enough. And so you get to make 300,000 or more. You get to take a day off and do that in less than 30 hours, whatever yours is. And remember, the people in the database, I remember I meeting you last time, but I forgot your name. Garrett. The people that know Garrett. So Garrett, you went door knocking. Everyone give me Garrett a round. But he gets no more rounds of applause unless he does it for the next 30 days. So no more rounds of applause for Garrett unless he keeps going. Tomorrow, okay. But people that know you, when your job at the doors or wherever you're out is to find people, just people who trust you as a real estate agent. Now, they're not all, if it's nice if they like you and all that, but if they're not going to use you, you don't really need them in your database. So you don't need 1,000 or 2,000. In fact, I highly recommend don't do that because you won't be able to find the people that are your people and love on them. So that's what we talked about last time. And then I said, it's about how you do your business. And really, I'm committed that people work the hours you want to work and make the money you want to make. And when you do that, right, when you work with people who trust you, it's so much easier, right? You're never arguing, you're never convincing, very rarely. And they work with you when stuff's not working. They work with you, so you get to actually have a high quality life. So that's my premises. And then I quickly went over my framework. And then I was briefly talked about, oh, I'm so sorry, it was Jim, right? Tim. It's about the framework about being a trusted advisor. And it's a function of your real estate, your real estate knowledge. You got to know how to sell real estate. So we're the newer people in the room, like less than 2 years. Hey, keep your hands up. Let me see you. All right, cool, awesome. All right, right. So you've got to work a little harder than. And Steve, how long is it for you? 20 years, right? 20 something.
About 30.
30, right? So you guys got to work harder than Steve on this part, but you know, just like Lisa was saying, she walked down the roof. I mean, there's always something to learn, so he can't stop learning, right? But you guys have a little more to learn. But here's the part where we're all equal. How do you make people feel? How do you actually talk to people? Are you there to get them, convince them, overcome their objections, or are you there to serve them? Like my client that was here and said, you're worth every penny, because I was never, ever, ever trying to get him, trying to help him accomplish his goals. And so when you learn to do that with people, there's no limits to this business. None. It's about your EQ and your real estate IQ and your EQ, your emotional intelligence. So did we do this example last time? I forget. Did we talk about your mom's moving to Florida?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, good. All right. This is where we're going to start. So your mom's moving to Florida. You like your mother. Gotta throw that in there. You like your mom. She's moving to Florida. You're going to help her find a realtor. What kind of realtor are you looking for? This is the interactive part. Ask a question and you guys give me some answers.
Best one in Florida.
Best one in Florida. What would that be? How would you know?
Look up the reviews.
Reviews. What are you looking for in the reviews?
What people are saying about their character.
What they're saying about their character. Very good. What's your name?
Adrian.
Adrian. Thanks, Adrian. What else? Volume. Okay, volume. What else? Everyone over here.
Someone who has the heart of a teacher.
Part of a teacher. Ooh, that's great. I like that. What's your name?
Chad.
Jeff?
Chad.
Chad. Great. Thanks, Chad. Awesome. Part of a teacher. I like that. What else?
Someone who's dependable, does what they say.
Dependable, does what they say. You can count on them. Great. Yeah, what else?
Little aggressive.
What's that?
Little aggressive.
A little aggressive. Are you a little aggressive, Steve? A little, right? Okay.
That's an understatement.
Right, so you want someone more like you? Maybe. Maybe, I don't know. What else? Responsive. Yeah, very good. Anything else? Experience. Yeah. It's funny. Tim said volume. I've done this now for the last 6 weeks. I've asked that question. It's the first time someone's actually answered that. Nothing wrong with that answer. But mostly what people are looking for, the things you all just said: character, part of a teacher, responsive. What did you say? Responsive. Yeah. What did you say? Dependable. Yeah. Adrian said character, right? And so I came up with a list of 13. I took this from somewhere else and I rewrote them. I didn't go over this last time.
Nope.
Okay.
You had like 5 minutes.
That's true. So this is a summary essentially of what you all just said. And I'm gonna sort of read these because this really is my message. And so I know that sounds boring, but I really invite you to just listen to what we just talked about in terms of who we really looking for, who would we want to take care of us or our family, and tell me if this rings true. Number one, they get who we are, or they get who we are. Number two, they're likable. They're actually easy to be around. Number three, they never, ever, ever, ever substitute their thinking for ours. Number four, they enable us to process decisions at our own pace, right? And they're never, ever, they're helping us see things from different points of view, and they realize that it's always our decision. They're never trying to push on us. Number five, they stay calm even when things go sideways. Number six, they talk straight with us. Number six, they talk straight and they tell the truth even when it's something we may not want to hear. Number seven, they speak with us They speak with us, not at us, and they speak with compassion, caring. Number 8, they're always on my side. I always know they're protecting my interests, and they have no attachment to any given sale or outcome. They're committed to me and a relationship with me. Number 9, they have perspective. They know how to zoom out and zoom in and use different analogies and metaphors and anecdotes to help get sometimes complicated issues across. Number 10, they're not afraid to have the difficult conversations. And when they do it in a way that helps me uncover blind spots and things I didn't see before. Number 11, their speaking has power. Speaking has power. They have deep respect for the words that come out of their mouth. There's no gossiping, whining, or complaining. Number 12, they have levity. They know how to use humor to diffuse difficult situations. And number 13, I feel protected and I know I'm in good hands. Isn't that who you want taking care of your mom? And isn't that who you want to be as a realtor? But how often do we talk about these things? Not much, not much. I did this in LA a couple of weeks ago at a big office. I won't say what brand. Some guy sitting kind of where Tom is. He's like, oh, that's what I do all the time. And I'm like, really? Really? Because I wrote these and I think I'm this way, but I know I'm not perfect. I know I screw up. I know I make mistakes. I know I lose my cool. I get stuck in my head, right? It's a practice. These are practices, but these are practices to follow. What I'm asserting is when we're being this way, we get to be with our clients, we serve our clients in a way that they don't have that experience anywhere else in life because they know we're there to help them solve their problems and get them where they want to go with grace and ease. And then they're happy to pay us because we're solving big problems. And people pay to solve big problems. What it looks like on the court, actually, before I move on, does anyone have a comment or a question about that? Yeah, Garrett.
Should our marketing be focused on these things? If this is what people are looking for?
I would never put that on anything I sent to a client. Because it doesn't resonate. It's who you are in the moment. Eric and I were talking about this earlier today. This is who I was at the door. Right? So you don't need to write anything. You get to actual be this at the door for people. And people will be like, that is someone different at my door today. Yeah.
I think if you write it, just sounds like you're puffing yourself up.
You're just puffing yourself up. Yeah. It's one thing to write them. It's another thing to be them. It's another thing to be them when life isn't working, when it's been a little while since you've done a deal, when you've had some breakdown at home, or your kid crashes your car, had all those things happen, right? And I still gotta go out and go be for my clients and the people, right, that have hired me to serve them. So what does that look like in reality? And so I like to use this analogy, which is emotional, being intelligent, being present is sort of like if you were going to jump in this lake, stream, river, whatever this is, it'd be a good idea, don't you think, to sort of know what would you want to know before you just jumped in there? How deep is it? How cold is it?
What else might be in there?
What might else be in there? Right? You want to know those things. It's the same thing when we're having conversations with people. We normally just want to jump right in. It's like at the doors. Steve was gracious enough. We did the role play script on my doors last time. I'm asserting some things that I'm checking, right? I'm getting permission before I even speak. Right? That's the first thing I'm doing in almost every conversation when I'm paying attention. So what this looks like in reality is, I don't know. I mean, it looks like a lot of things. What are some of the conversations right now? And then we'll just sort of practice on the fly, and then we'll take a break, then we'll come back and finish. What are some conversations that you're challenged by right now?
I don't want to pay commission.
I don't want to pay a commission. Is that the seller not paying the buyer or the buyer not wanting to pay at all?
Both. Both buyers haven't really started servicing with that complaint, but they're going to.
Okay, great.
Interest rates.
Interest rates are too high. Awesome. What else?
It's not the right time.
It's not the right time.
How can I afford to sell my house and move if my next house is gonna be so much more expensive?
You're not. That's That's the short answer. I'm teasing you, Tim. That is the short answer, but I'll show you how we would have that conversation. All right, anyone else? Going once, going twice. All right, we're gonna start. It was not the right time.
It's not the right time.
And what was yours? The interest rates. Let's start with the interest rates. Is that okay if we just sort of? Everyone's okay. All right, so you start with me. What do you want to tell me about interest rates? I'm the agent, you're the buyer.
Wait to buy. I'm gonna wait.
Awesome. How long are you gonna wait? Forever. Forever is a long time. What's your name?
Allison.
Allison. All right, Allison, all joking aside, where do you want to move to?
Orangeville.
Orangeville? Great. Where in Orangeville?
By the river.
By the river? Where on the river? By the trails? Okay. And have you picked out a house yet?
No.
Have you seen some houses you like?
Yes.
And interest rates aside, are they in your price range? Okay, great. How long have you been in your current house?
14 years.
And how long have you dreamed about being in Orangeville on the river? 14 years. So Allison, you have a dilemma. On one hand, you want to be in Orangeville on the river and you wanted to be there for 14 years. How much longer do you want to wait before you get to live your dreams? Tomorrow. Really? Really tomorrow?
In the next 6 months.
Next 6 months. Okay, great. And so what would have to happen for you to make that dream a reality? Okay. Find the right, have you seen the right house in the past? Okay, but you haven't bought because wasn't the right time. And so is now the right time? Potentially. Potentially is probably not enough. What would make it the right time? Your kids not being so expensive, and how old? I've got some terrible news for you. It never gets cheap. How old are your kids?
18, 15, and 9.
Okay. And so at what age do you think that will be less expensive? What's that?
They're 30.
So you're gonna wait 21 more years until you move to Orangeville on the river. No. So how long are you gonna wait?
I live in Orangeville.
Yeah, but in this interaction, right? Do you guys get? So what are you noticing so far in this conversation?
You're asking questions.
I'm asking
You're bringing
questions.
it back to them.
Yeah. Did I say anything about what happened? Prices are going to do this and interest rates are going to do that. And and if you calculate the math, did I say any of that? Did I tell her what to do? Did I tell her what I think she should do? Has she probably moved a lot closer to moving to Orangeville on the river? Does she probably feel pretty safe talking more about this with me? Yeah. Right. So what I'm demonstrating is I have very low attachment, but very high intention in my conversations. My intention is to move people off fences and to speak authentically about what it is they really, really want. Even if the answer is no. If you said to me, she could have said, Stephen, here's the deal. I have an inheritance that comes due in 2 years. And I can pay cash for that house and I'm going to wait till 2 years and I don't really care what happens to prices. It just makes my life so much easier. Awesome. Great. Now we're going to stay in touch and I will periodically, I'll find a way to gently stay in touch with her. And when I see great houses that match her, we'll stay up to date on the market and, and then we'll do that. All right. What was Steve's was not buying. That was going to take more time. We'll do one after the break. Yours was not the right time. Kind of the same conversation I would have right with Allison, right? You can kind of get that.
Yes.
What else? Was there one other one besides Steve's? Because that's going to take a lot more time. Someone else have another quick one? No? All right, well, then why don't we do this? Why don't we take our break right now? Is that okay, Johnny?
Absolutely.
There you are. So we'll take our break and we'll come back. It's like 10:52. We'll come back at 11:05. that work?
Or how about 10:57? Just a 5-minute bio break. The Zoom's staying on. You guys don't have to leave, but if you want to, go ahead, grab some food, and we'll be back in just a couple minutes, okay? All right. Yo.
I put an escrow with buyers
Okay.
and they asked me to get a quote, closing call on the title and escrow rate. The seller. Now I got this quote for also decided for them and it's an investor from Chicago, from Washington. Yeah. And he's like, cost. So I said, yeah, it's regulated by the department. So they are. And he goes around and he gets a quote from WFG. So he's asking me to talk to the listing agent and the rates. With
Title
the
insurance.
for title and escrow fees and there was loan tie-in fee, all those things. So I did send it.
WFG. The title company. Okay, so what's your question?
So I did tell the listing agent. About it and listing agent saying that he might have gotten it. Like, so I did ask him that question and he's like, no, they gave. Like based on the property. So at this point, like the EMD is still not in, which is today's the last day. Well, I just might just move forward. Look, what can I do differently? Like, what is my part? It's my fiduciary duty. How can I make anything better for the user?
So. So I would just lay it out, hey, you know what? Send me the quote that they sent you, and we'll see if we're with the, switch to them and get somebody to have a better rate.
The listing agent would switch.
Maybe. We don't know.
Yeah.
You should just like send it over. And then we'll go from there.
Hi, kids.
My mistake.
I know.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, thanks for coming and speaking.
That's rude. I always love her earrings.
I know, they're the best.
Yeah, my mistake was
Thank you for your
that
help
when
on
I
this.
wrote.
We didn't have time to go through all of them.
Which I. The usual way of writing. You're welcome.
So
I have salary choice.
you didn't clear that with them first?
He read the whole contract. Yeah. He asked me to make some changes.
Yeah.
He
So-
did bring it up that can we use our title company? And I'm like, I'm not sure, I have to check and then he asked me to change it.
So, the difference is what, $1,000,
Our organization is
Less.
very.
you know?
Yeah.
So just ask him if he's, really, hey, we asked, give me the quote, I'm not gonna send it in. Okay, great. They're not willing to change, Mr. Byron. Unfortunately, this is customary. That's not a local title company. Nobody knows, so they are gonna be in business with rules that they face out. Right? WFG, yeah.
Yeah, that's
So,
definitely the best place to.
Yeah, with Manu. Just 2 seconds. What,
Yeah.
what are you talking?
Me and Haley were just wondering your little whiteboard that you have in your office, can we wheel it into the green room?
The green room? Yeah.
And then we'll put it back.
Yeah.
So, he's in on Douglas. Rosewood.
Should have never let them out, Johnny.
He said, Douglas,
know. That's, yeah.
I mentioned at the Dallas and I actually bought your book.
Yes, I was gonna say, you look so familiar.
Yeah, at Dallas, we walked together from.
Yes, that's right. Yes, yes.
And then I did not get the doors yet, but I did get over my fear on calling people, so I've been.
Fantastic.
So that's what I would do. Hey, you're right there on it. Yes. But it's,
I think I can use the local.
but just tell them, I mean, you don't want to argue with them. Say, hey, send me the quote. We'll see what they can do. And then if they can't do anything and the seller's not willing to change.
Yeah, I feel like I did argue not over this, but over something else. The contingencies, do they automatically expire?
No, not in the state of
Not
California.
until you remove them, right?
In other states, they do expire automatically.
He was saying they do, they said they expire automatically. I'm like, no, they don't. He's like, they do it. I'm like, I sent them 2 or 3 times. I'm like, no, they don't. So I talked to paralegal
Yeah.
times over there.
My best writing.
And then I did explain to him, I'm like, I have access to paralegal. I spoke to one of the lawyers and they said.
So in other states, it does expire. In the state of California, it does not.
This one sucks.
Okay.
Let me rewrite this.
If they expire, but they're still there, you have to like.
They have to be removed and right.
And can the seller give you a notice to perform and cancel the deal?
So how that
But you
works.
can still there.
So even if they cancel on you, you continue, you're still there.
Okay, so they can't just keep your deposit.
No,
Perform and they cancel.
They can keep your deposit unless both parties agree to
From us then.
out to release the deposit. Title will hold the deposit. And then it's up, because they're neutral. Title neutral, and it's up to the buyer and seller. They go to small claims court and figure out how to mediation.
Yeah, they said, I said it goes to mediation, so the judge's first question was the confusion.
I don't know about litigating, but it is very buyer friendly process. Because you're a buyer. And so,
So.
but yeah, they're not removed automatically. But in other states, they do.
Johnny, we're gonna lose our chairs. Are you doing something next?
We're still.
Part 2. Another half hour. Okay. I didn't realize that. Jose, you're gonna tell me something. You're too efficient, my friend. I am. What the thing you do.
I have both the thing,
That's fine. I mean, there's really no rush. So. Well, yeah, I get it. Hey, oh, y'all know? So go, just take a break. They're $20. I got both. Let me get my Venmo. Or cash, whatever works for you. I'm never straight cash.
No, the daughter's older. So my daughter's.
And it's looking for like, I got him on.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a good day.
Yeah.
So you know, it's funny.
It's like the state or something like that. It was impressive.
Now she's.
But
she's
the thing, really cool, you work with clients and all of the screens, all the real estate.
They say that.
They get you signed up on the website. They get some picture. Put that into the website. Look at what's available.
Yeah.
For. And then if I'm interested in.
My mind thinks that way too. It's like.
I built a system that would actually grab the real estate. Things in the system. I like to say, give me all the bills and and send it off. And it would go to a non-thing. So we have a- it's just-
Yeah, I'm never gonna say it.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Yeah.
That's what's one of the real. Just trying to. All right, let's finish. You're at yellow. Did you tell them to come back or?
But yeah, I.
Thank you.
Yeah. You're welcome.
But I just wasn't really into.
Not done yet, though, but.
We can have another spot?
Oh,
Okay, great.
Just so you know. Check in. And.
It must not be having a good time. He's like, what am I doing here?
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay.
Let's just
All
keep
right.
going, yeah.
At least we know what's on his mind.
All
right.
Okay, yeah. so I was
Just
thinking
that
that
fast around.
they did the- I looked at-
All right, so now we're down. How many people are on Zoom?
But is it a link? Not your.
Okay, smaller group. So Steve's out, so you can get his answer to his question. What's another situation that you think you want some help with, or where you want to see an example? How would you talk to somebody? It's another example you want help in, or another, we can do the doors. You want to do the doors, Garrett? Or you feel pretty good about the doors?
No.
All right, yes, Heather.
Like, if you're, going up to a two-story home.
Yeah.
And an older gentleman or answer the door.
Yeah.
I feel like what I hear from a lot of agents is they don't know where to start, where to ask for help. So if you see an older person opening the door,
No one was sitting
and when I
here
think of my own parents, I don't want them in a
and no one was
two-story
sitting
anymore.
in one of those chairs.
How does that shift how you view
But
it?
here's, Heather brings up a great point, right? So I don't know if you guys heard online, right? This is two-story elderly people. I've knocked on doors. I've knocked on it. I can think of one house in particular. This woman was 92 in a two-story home. She said, my kids keep telling me to move. I love the stairs. It keeps me active. And here's what I saw at the doors. When the kids get involved and tell the parents what to do, it always goes poorly. They're adults, and now sometimes they need a little help. It's not our job as kids, but definitely as advisors, we don't tell people what to do. Doesn't matter what I think. It's what you think about your situation, and I can interact with you in a way to help. Maybe there was whatever number it was on the, can't remember what it's like 8 or 9, right? Just, I'm gonna use some stories and anecdotes to give you some different ways to look at your situation. And if that doesn't give you a new way to look at something where it might be safer, right? You wanna stay there, knock yourself out. Ultimately, it's their choice, always. There's someone I coach, he called me out with a situation with one of his listings. And I just said, remember, Brad, it's always the seller's choice. You present the options, they decide. You don't have to go with, what should we do? No, you give them the options, let them choose, always. That way you never have to worry about what to do. It's our job to come up with options. It's great. So Steve's back in the room. You want to talk about
I
commission?
don't wanna pay a commission.
And you're on the seller?
I'm not gonna pay a commission, no.
You're not gonna pay my commission, you're not gonna pay a commission to the buyer.
We can talk about a small flat fee for you, but I'm not paying the buyer.
Steve, it was great to meet you.
You're right, I would be that person.
I'm not for
You
everyone.
know what, I'm hearing there's a lot of changes in the commission, I don't quite understand it, but I'm hearing that I don't need to pay the buyer's commission.
Okay, and what else have you heard?
Well, there's a lot of new forms that the agents have. I don't really know what to ask, frankly, but I've heard, and if the opportunity presents itself, I don't want to pay the commission.
So it sounds like, well, one thing's for sure, you certainly don't want to pay money you don't have to pay.
Yeah.
And the thought of losing money frivolously is a terrible idea to you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay, totally fair. Who wouldn't? No one wants to throw money away. So do you have any problem? Is there any problem? We talked about my fee. My fee's X. Do you have any problem with my fee?
I think I'll be okay with it. You'll have
It's
to
not
share
very
with me.
confident.
Well, I don't exactly know all the things that you're gonna lay out for me, but I might be okay with it.
Okay, well, what would you need to know to be okay with it?
how much traffic I'm gonna get, how the photography looks.
No idea. I have no clue.
Okay. What are some ideas of marketing that you can share with me that'll get my property out on them, so everyone sees it online?
Okay, so let me back up. When I go on an appointment, I tell everyone, when I come out, it's a meet and greet. No marketing, no pricing. We're just deciding if we're a fit for each
I
other.
missed that meeting.
Yeah. So when I get there, so let's just say we're on the phone.
Okay.
So let's just go back to we're on the phone, because I'd be doing this on the phone. So it sounds like you've got some issues with commission. My fee is X, it's the fee I charge everybody, including my mother-in-law.
Yeah, I can work with that, but would you explain to me what's going on with all these, different discussions in the news and things, because I don't quite understand. what
Yeah, it's
they represent.
confusing.
It is, yeah.
It's very confusing. It's confusing for me, and this is my business, right? So let me help. So in the past, here's what happens, right? So when did you buy this house?
2006,
2006. So when you bought the house, you paid what? You remember?
352.
$352. And you may remember you didn't pay the agent that represented you.
That's true.
Yeah, but you did. You wanna know how you did that?
No.
In 352, my friend Garrett over here was the seller, and Garrett paid me something to represent him, and he paid the agent that represented you out of his proceeds.
Okay.
But you paid for it because you paid 352.
Yeah.
So that fee is in the price. So the buyers have always paid all the commission. What the new ruling is saying is that, but you had no say what your agent got paid. None. You didn't even know. It was like a mystery. And that's the part that people weren't okay with. The seller should hire their agent and know what they're paying, and the buyers should hire their agent and know what they're paying. That's what's changing. So the buyer's going to be responsible for their agent. Trick here is, though, most buyers don't have the extra cash to pay their agent separately. When the seller pays for it out of the proceeds, it's wrapped up in the loan. If the seller doesn't agree to do that, it can't be as part of the loan. It has to be a separate cash disbursement. So if you're not, so my invitation to you would be, don't decide what the house is worth to you, what the market price is, and factor in some allotment for whatever the buyer's distribution is going to be. You're still not paying it. You're allowing for it to be paid out of the distributions.
Okay, all right, I can work with that.
Okay.
That's pretty slick.
All right, Johnny, so I have a bill invoice coming to everyone.
All right.
Buyer pays. Anyways.
Fire has been making.
Fire has been.
Always, you just didn't know it.
So the key, right, is, you've got to know it goes back to being someone worth hiring. It took me a long time to get to that place. It took me a long time to build my credibility, my confidence, and yet I always did charge a full fee, but I couldn't stand there like I could today and have this conversation, right? It took practice. And so what I'm offering everyone today is wherever you are and right, Steve's been at this 30 years, I gave you a new way to operate, but if he goes on an appointment today, he's not going to say it like I said it. And he still may make it work, but for his own elegance, it's going to take a few tries and some other work to make it work for him. Yeah, Tom.
If you're not opposed, I'd like to role play something that we seem to get all the time regarding commission.
Yep, 1 second. Let me just finish that. Did anyone else have a comment about or a question about what Steve and I did? Anyone online? Was it? Okay. About that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Comment is you always use the Socratic method. You always have questions.
Yeah, it's a little more than the Socratic method. What I'm doing is a little bit more than that. I'm using some things like labels and I'm using some other things besides questions. But it is a question based. Yeah. Okay, Tom, what's your situation?
Situation is, I heard that commissions are negotiable and most people are doing it for 5%. Why are you 6%?
Because that's my thing.
This other guy will do it for 5.
Yeah, you know what? There's people that will do it for 4. Why not just hire them?
Why won't you?
My fee is 6%. Rather, my fee is X, and then, you know, what you pay the buyer is a different discussion. Sounds like that's gonna be a deal breaker for you, my friend.
Well, I just really wanna know what I'm gonna get for 6% if I'm paying an extra 2%. Maybe 1.5%. What am I
Yeah.
gonna get for that? What are you gonna do that this other agent is gonna do?
It's exactly how we're talking right now.
It's exactly how we're talking.
So you're either gonna hire a professional, or you're gonna hire someone that buys business. And I'm not saying you should hire me, but you've got to decide for you that I'm worth it. If it's not, then I'm not your guy.
You can't tell me. But you can't tell me anything that you do, like there's nothing that you do more than this other guy? It seems to me that I'm
Here's
saving
the,
up.
you are saving money. Here's what you don't know. We all do the same things. But we all do the same things. It's how we do them that makes a difference. Look, my wife's an anesthesiologist. She sees lots of surgeons, but let's just stick to orthopedics. They're all surgeons. They all can repair your knee. I can promise you, there's half of them I will never go to. They all charge the same fee, but they don't. They charge different fees. They do the same things, but they don't. Right? So you either value a professional like me, and it's okay if you don't, I'm not offended.
Why would you not go to some of those surgeons and you would go to the others?
Why do you think?
Because they're nicer to you?
No, no, no.
His wife's in the operating room.
My wife's in the operating room seeing what they do and how they do it. And the outcomes that get created from those surgeries. Same thing with real estate professionals. Some are more professional than others. And I would invite you to consider that fee is indicative of where a real estate agent believes their professionalism lies. But it sounds like I'm probably not the one for you.
Well, I want you because I like what you do and you've been coming around and bugging me for the last 3 years and you know, you've kind of grown on me. So.
But you want me only at a discount.
I want you at the going rate.
My fee is X.
So you can't just make an exception since we're friends. You've been working so hard, Steve. You're this close to get.
I know. It would be dishonorable. It would be a disservice to all my other clients who pay my full fee.
I promise I won't tell
And I appreciate that. And I'm sorry, my friend. It was great chatting with you today. I've got to run. If something changed, please give me a call. And I'm gone.
No.
You're not going to get me. You're not going to get me. And someone who's that much of a pain in the ass up front, I have a very good friend and client who used to be in timeshares. And he had this old lady mentor who's saying, how it starts is how it ends. If it starts as a grind, then the whole thing's a grind. I want no part of it. Because my clients just say, yes, great, let's go. And then that's how it goes. And I have the mentality that there's more than enough opportunity out there. Because when things get tough, there's a flight to quality. And I know I'm good. And so I don't have to worry that there's not going to be enough business. You had your hand up. Yeah, go ahead, Adrian.
I was just gonna say, how long did it take you to get to that point where
Long time.
you would turn business?
But I mean, I'm almost always charged a full fee. I would make an exception for a really good reason or someone that's going to refer me business. But like it never, even one of my best clients, I love him. He's such a great guy. He's such a pain in the ass. And I love him dearly. Right. And and I'd given him discounts in the past and I did a lot of business with him and he did refer me business. But as an example, I have another client, a whole family. I mean, I've done maybe a dozen transactions out of this whole family. And it was always a full fee and they were always amazing. Never any grief, never any friction, even if stuff was tough. So you had a question, yeah.
So these conversations that you're having, talking about your fee, do you have that conversation with your
door knocking, or is this when you're at a listing?
When we're having a conversation about actually doing business.
Okay, so still not a listing appointment.
It's
So-
before I do a listing
It's a
appointment.
get to know you appointment, right?
Yeah,
So,
usually it's on the phone, we have that first conversation,
Or a pre-listing Zoom.
or pre-listing Zoom, or I just do it on the phone.
so you are willing to tell them what your fee is before you actually met with them to show them actually what you do.
Yep. So here's my best example. Last year, I was selling my in-laws. Now, I'm not married to their sister anymore, so they're not really my in-laws, but I've known them for over 30 years, so they're still like my family. And so when they hired me, they said, we get the family discount, right? Nope, everyone pays the same. I'm like, all right. So as right before the house closes, my brother-in-law is on the porch and a neighbor walks by from a few blocks away, and the neighbor says, hey, is your realtor any good? Brother-in-law says, he's the best. He's pretty busy. Don't know if he's taking any new clients. That's what he said. So I get this random call, like my brother didn't even tell me, I get this random call. I said, how'd you get my name and number? He tells me the whole story. So I don't know this guy. He doesn't know my brother-in-law. He literally just walked by the sign. So we're on the phone for 20 minutes, maybe 15. And I said, where are you at? Where are you going? How do you plan on getting here? So I'm trying to figure out, I'm trying to see, they're not interviewing any other agents. And I said, great. I said, just so you know, before I come over, to meet and greet, I'm not bringing any marketing, I'm not bringing any pricing, and my fee is X. He's like, oh, I'm glad. He's like, so you don't give discounts for first responders and veterans? Appreciate your service, and no. You still want me to come over? Yes. Okay, great. I'll be over on Monday on Saturday. I'll be over at 3. My wife doesn't get off till 5. I'm like, oh. Well, I'm a Lakers fan. This was last year. Lakers are out because they got crushed by the Nuggets. I live in Denver. I'm like, so now I'm rooting for the Nuggets. I want to see game 1 of the finals. It starts at 6:30. I really got to be out of there by like 5:30, 5:45. He's like, all right. So I get there at 4:45. The wife gets there at 5:05. I'm out the door at 5:45 with a signed listing agreement at my full fee. No marketing, no pricing. How is that possible? And they don't know me from Adam. I'm not online. They didn't look me up. They weren't more referral. It's who I was as a professional when I'm with them. So I don't need to worry about any of that other stuff. Now, the trick is when you're newer, you've got to build up to that. But when you set a standard of how you're going to be with people, it's on the lending, it doesn't really matter, lending, title, whatever. You set that standard, people rise to where you're at, and the people who don't go away, and it makes your life so much better. So, yeah.
That's your strategy now that you're so experienced. What was your strategy when you were starting out?
I mean, yeah, I would go on any appointment I could, but it played out the same way, right? I was the fool in the game, right? They were just using me for information. They were never going to hire me. So if you're newer, look, I'm not saying don't go on appointments. That's not what I'm saying. I hope everyone says that. I'm not saying don't go. I'm only opening your eyes to what's really happening, and I'm trying to help you set a high standard up front and then go live to that standard. Right? The doors, I'm not here to talk anyone into door knocking, but if you're newer, I know it's hot, there's nothing else you can do. Nothing. There is nothing else you can do in real estate that will get you better faster than knocking on doors, if you're paying attention. Not cold calling, not open house, not social networking, for sure not video and social media. Like, the more of those, I'm not saying you shouldn't do them, it's just not going to make you better as an agent. Right? What you need to know is how to price a home in a tough market. Facebook's not going to teach you that. You will learn that if you're walking the neighborhood and you're learning the nuances of the neighborhood and the streets and why people are moving and how long they've been there and who lives in the neighborhood. I will help you. So, I just, by luck, by the grace of God, I fell into door knocking. I just got lucky and I just didn't quit. So, one last question. Anyone else have any, or was I? Actually, before I do, I'll get to questions. I just want to just point out one more thing. I did talk about this. You have to have a schedule. of how you're gonna talk to people. This was mine. It was so simple. And the problem that most agents have is you either have this, you have nothing, or you have this, which is impossible to follow. And neither one's gonna work. You need something like this. And I help people create this. Now, most people are not, I don't only work with people who are gonna door knock. But for newer people, right, it's a place to start. But I help create simplicity into their schedule so they can create the habit of doing the right things, having more conversations. The better they get in the conversation, starts to raise their game, bring it more effective. That's how I help people. All right, any other questions? Yeah.
I'm sure you did it last week, sorry that I said.
That's
but,
okay.
Can you show a good example for your dog?
Sure. What's your name? Audrey. All right, Audrey. As I said last week, as I disclosed, you don't want me to knock on your door? No. Super, it's gonna be super disappointing to everyone listening, right? Because it seems like nothing's happening, but everything's happening. All right, you ready? All right, knock, knock, knock. Hi, it's Stephen the Realtor. You seem busy. Is now a bad time?
Sure, but I'm not interested.
Okay, so what I have to say will take less than two minutes.
Okay.
So I know you probably have no real estate plans. Yeah, if you have no real estate plans, probably not paying attention to the market.
Not really.
Might be wondering what this crazy realtor is doing on your doorstep.
Yes.
My name's Steven. I'm the local realtor. I'm coming by with the market update. Do you mind if I leave it with you?
Sure.
Okay, hand you the market update. I know you're not moving. I know you're not moving. Just curious, how long you been here?
7 years.
7 years, cool. Where'd you live before?
Yes.
Modesto. So what made you move here? Schools. And so, and you picked the right schools, right? Oh, okay, good. So you'll probably be here at least another 17, 18 years. Yes?
Yep.
Yeah.
5 years.
4 or 5.
Right.
Okay. And then where would you go?
Not sure if my kids go to these schools, or if they come back to your room. I'm not sure.
But for the next 5 years, you're here.
Yes.
Yeah, awesome. Well, cool. Well, I'm Steven. You are Audrey. Great to meet you. I come by, you'll see me a couple of times here. Anything you need before I go? Awesome. Have a great day. And I'm off. No, I mean, maybe I would have asked about where, usually when I start to get to know people, depending on the conversation, we can go into other areas. What are you doing? You're not talking to real estate people on your front porch. And, I start to have another conversation if they're open and then find out more about them and their life. But as an initial conversation, that's about half of them, and then you're looking for 2, 3, 4, where they're open to having more of a conversation and a connection. Yeah.
The market update what do you include on that? Is that like?
Nothing special. It's just the simplest thing you can print out from the MLS that you're allowed to.
So, what's the regional size for that? Just
Whatever you want. Doesn't matter. Something that's relevant to the person who's getting it. So, and what do most people care about? What's sold down the street. They can look it up, but you're in front of them, so you might as well give them what they want to know.
You could almost hand them a blank piece of paper because it almost really doesn't matter.
It almost doesn't matter.
It's an excuse to be there. But the second most important piece, besides what they would be interested in most, what their neighbors so forth, is your contact information, just in case they ever want to contact you.
Yeah, I mean, I do give them a notepad that has my info on it, but people aren't. I got a call literally yesterday. That house I sent at the beginning, woman lives a block over from that, and she found that I sold that house 3 years ago and called me to talk about listing her house, which is super rare for me. That never happens. So like people are gonna find people who want to find you will find you. I guess. I mean, I'm not saying don't make it easier for them, but like I'm not hung up on leaving the right thing that they remember to call me. It's
the conversation and the connection that matters.
Yeah, Alex.
Yeah, so I look at this through the lens of KB4, and I can envision putting a QR code that links back to your website to see what the values were.
Totally fine.
Yeah, those sort of things.
Totally fine. I'm super frictional. I want as little friction as possible to get people in action.
Yeah.
So, oh, the QR code's not working, like, it's just gotta be super simple, like, going with a business card is better than not going at all. Going with a flyer and the QR code's not, that's not, but totally fine. Yeah, Audrey, what's that?
How ended up over there?
I mean, the selfie is usually a longer conversation, right?
How
Or
does-
there's
how do you, what do you say to, hey, because if you came to my door and I didn't know you, I'd probably think you were weird. And
Yeah.
I'd take a selfie, I'd be like.
But if we're talking for 10 minutes and we're connected, so great to meet you, Tom. Hey, do you mind if we take a selfie? Like. That's it. And 1 in 10 will say, what are you gonna do with it? That it will not be on social media. And I promise you'll be surprised at what you get.
So
And
you
they
don't,
are.
you don't tell them about the postcard.
No. And they're delighted. I said, you'll be delighted with what I give you.
You still use that posted thing?
No, because I don't door knock. I should, but I don't. I mean, I do this, but if I was still door knocking, I would still be doing that.
I love that idea. What's it called? The app?
Postagram. Yeah.
Just for strategy, why do you give them a marketing update at the door knocking, but not when you go to the listing?
Because I printed, I could print hundreds of them in 5 minutes. So it has me give something, but I mean, I could, like when I go to the listing, I know what the house is approximately worth.
Okay.
I'm just not bringing them, I'm not doing any work for them. I don't do any free consulting. Can't go to the attorney, get free legal advice. Can't go to your doctor and get free medical advice. Can't get free real estate advice. So, these are the two things that I do. I help people work less, earn more, so you having a life that you love. So you're either working really hard, not making any money. I help, you simplify your schedule and your activity. If you're working hard and you have no time and you're not getting the fees you want, I help you do that by moving you up the pyramid, right? So when you're operating with people as a trusted advisor, you are getting your fee. And I'll go back in a second. If your volume is between 6 and 20 million, and if you can raise your fee by a quarter point or more, right, it's real money by just sticking to a fee that you're worth. Anywhere from 15 to 100,000 or more every year. And I was in Portland on Tuesday and Wednesday, but Tuesday, I was at an office, big producing agent, was talking to her after. I said, she's like, I know I should charge more, but I don't know. And I'm like, well, what was your listing volume last year? She's like, it was a bad year. I'm like, well, what was your listing volume? 16 million. Like at a quarter point, if you just charge a quarter point more on average, that's 40 grand. Said, you just told me you just bought a book for your daughter who's in real estate. Is she married? No. Are you going to be paying for the wedding? Yeah. Would the 40 grand help? I know, but it's hard. It's not hard. You just got to decide you're worth it. And you are. You're a veteran. Like, it's crazy to me. I know, but we as humans, but what if they don't pay me my fee? Or what if I lose business? Total nonsense. You're never going to lose business over fee. If it was over fee, they weren't going to hire you to begin with.
Yep.
Or they were always looking for the cheapest solution. Yeah, Steve.
It may not be the right forum, but do you mind if I share the way I address what your fee is and when they bought on it?
Let me just finish and then I'll hang out. If half the people left the room, we have all these books still. Adrian bought a book. I appreciate that, Adrian. We still have a few books left, so if you want to buy a book, please do that, because I can't take them back with me. Then I would make Johnny buy them all. Yeah, we don't want Johnny to do that. Because Steve bought them all last time. I just want to say that this business is such a gift and a privilege when we get to the level. I don't want to say where I'm at, because I'm nowhere, we're all the same. But when you can put in a little effort and you do the work and you get yourself over the hump, right, where you've got people and you're taking the right action, it's such a gift to you really can do this business with just a few focused hours a week and make a very good income. But it doesn't happen by accident, right? It really takes focused effort. And I've been all over the country. I've seen all these agents spend money on leads and this and that, and their life is no different. And I really am inviting you to simplify your business and just do the right thing, the right actions, and then charge the right fee, and your life alters. It really does. So I will hang out. You're more than welcome, Steve, to share what you want. And then if anyone wants to buy a book, I will hang out up here as well.
Thank you.
I encourage you guys, get that book. I think you'll learn a lot. This is a skill set that everybody needs. And it's something that you can immediately implement. And Garrett, thank you for stepping up and start doing some door knocking.
Yeah.
All right, guys, that's it for today. See you next Thursday, P-Card.